It was already dark when the rain settled in for the night. Not suddenly, not with force. It arrived the way evening does, quietly taking its place. The sky had been heavy all day, layered with slow-moving clouds that never seemed in a hurry. When the first drops finally touched the ground, there was no surprise in it. It felt expected, almost welcomed. Rain moved through the trees with a soft persistence, tapping leaves, brushing branches, slipping gently into the soil below. The forest absorbed it without resistance, as if this rhythm had always been part of the plan. Somewhere within that forest, a small cabin rested among the trees. It was not hidden, but it was not obvious either. You could pass nearby without noticing it at all, unless you were paying attention. The windows were warm with light, not bright, just enough to suggest presence. Inside, the air was still, the kind of stillness that comes from familiarity, not emptiness. A wooden chair sat near the window, angled slightly toward the glass. It had been placed there long ago and never moved since. Its legs were worn smooth at the edges, shaped by time and quiet use. Outside, rain continued its steady pattern. There was no clock ticking loudly, no sound that demanded to be noticed. Time passed in a softer way here, measured not by minutes, but by moments. On a small table, a book lay open, pages gently curved as if they had relaxed into that position. It had been read many times, though never all at once. Always a few pages, then a pause, then more pages another day. Some stories are meant to be taken slowly. The fire nearby gave off a low, comforting warmth. It did not crackle loudly. It did not compete with the rain. It simply existed, steady and reliable. The room carried the scent of wood and old paper, and something faintly earthy brought in by the rain. The kind of scent that reminds you of places you've been, without forcing you to remember them clearly. Outside, the forest shifted slightly as wind moved through the trees. Branches swayed, then returned to stillness. Leaves whispered, then fell silent again. Nothing rushed forward. Nothing needed attention. The rain softened the edges of everything it touched. Paths blurred, shapes lost their sharpness. The world became gentler under its presence. Inside the cabin, breathing slowed naturally, shoulders lowered. Thoughts once scattered began to drift closer together, then loosen their grip entirely. There was no story unfolding in a dramatic way, no events lining up for resolution, just a series of moments, each one comfortable enough to stay with for a while. The chair near the window remained empty, though it felt occupied in another way, as if it held the memory of many quiet evenings before this one, evenings filled with listening rather than doing. Rain pressed softly against the glass, forming trails that followed no strict pattern. Each drop chose its own path downward, sometimes merging with another, sometimes slipping away alone. It was easy to watch, easier still to stop watching and simply listen. Somewhere farther into the forest, water gathered into small streams, flowing around roots and stones. It found its way naturally, without effort. No resistance, no confusion. The night continued to deepen, though it was hard to tell exactly when that happened. Darkness did not arrive all at once. It simply became more complete. The light inside remained unchanged, calm, consistent. A gentle sound of distant thunder passed through the sky, low and unhurried. It did not echo sharply. It did not linger. It was just enough to be noticed, then released. Rain followed it, unchanged in its rhythm. Moments like this do not ask questions. They do not invite decisions. They exist without expectation. The cabin had seen many nights like this. Rainy nights, quiet nights. Nights where nothing needed to happen for them to feel full. The walls held warmth well. The ceiling felt close enough to be comforting, not confining. Everything in the room seemed to understand its purpose. Outside, the forest accepted the rain without complaint. Trees stood tall, unmoved by its persistence. Moss darkened in color, thriving quietly. Time moved forward without marking itself. Breathing remained slow, easy. Thoughts drifted in, then out again, like leaves passing along the surface of water. There was no reason to follow them. The fire dimmed slightly, then steadied. The rain remained constant. The night continued. There was no end point waiting, no conclusion forming. Just the quiet continuation of sound and stillness sharing the same space. And that was enough.